Hey everybody, it's Dr. Karma Bryan, and this is Car Chronicles. How you guys doing? Good to see you guys. You ready? Let's do this. There's some things that I have learned while serving in the military as a trainer and as a trainer of trainers, and from my doctoral program that I will put together. And one of the biggest things, both in my doctoral program, when I spoke to the professors during my residency, and even in the military as we train soldiers and train the trainers, when you become senior levels, is that never be the smartest person in the room. Never get to a point, especially in a doctoral program, when you have a doctor of education, they'll teach you that, you know, your responsibility is to bring people up to your level. So that means that you can't be the smartest person in the room and you're talking over everybody's head. Then you're the smartest person in the room because nobody comprehends what you're teaching them. So I said all that to say this. I never want to underestimate the intelligence or the knowledge that people have when they come onto my channel, but I do want to break it down to simplify it so it's easily understandable when you're talking about psychology, the field of psychology, diagnosis and assessments and things like that, especially dealing with narcissistic personality disorder. And so what I did was I went to research to see if I can simplify it, and I found this article on a blog. And it was written by a young lady by the name of Larissa Biggers. And she was basically writing what Zachary Rosenthal, Dr. Zachary Rosenthal, was explaining when he was explaining the 9 symptoms of narcissistic personality disorder. And they broke it down to make it very easy for you to remember. So I want you to remember this acronym, Special Me. So these are the 9 symptoms. The S stands for a sense of self-importance. You all know that a narcissist is the most important person in the room, is the most important person when it comes to anything. They deem themselves as being the most important person. It's a self sense of importance. They're just important. You get around them, make you feel like it makes you feel less than because they're even more important than you. They go to doctors, therapists, medical professionals, professors. They're more important than them too. So there's this sense of self-importance. P is a preoccupation with power, beauty, or success. And you guys know, especially if you're dealing with a somatic narcissist, for example, they're preoccupied with their appearance. They have to have power. All narcissists, whether they are cerebral or whether they are somatic, they're preoccupied with power. They have to have power. They don't get into leadership or positions of power because they want to help people. They get into these positions because they want to feel empowered. That's why they manipulate the way that they do. It's a sense of power and control. That's domestic violence. And of course, beauty, you know, and that is a part of the somatic. They're just really into themselves, beauty, success, power. This is their whole mindset. That is everything. If you want to know the core of one, that's what it is. Power, beauty, success. That's all it is, because they have a low self-esteem. They have a low sense of self-worth. And so this is what they're pursuing all the time. They're preoccupied with it to a point where when they connect with people, they just try to figure out how you're going to make me feel more empowered. How are you going to make me look more successful? How are you going to make me look more beautiful? What can I get out of you? E is that entitlement. So, you know, they always seem to be entitled to anything that you have. They go places and they're entitled. They feel entitled to, you're supposed to treat me a certain way. Do you know who I am? They don't even know who they are, but they're just entitled. They're walking entitlements. You know, what makes you feel so special? What makes you entitled to this? You didn't even work for this. I'm entitled to be recognized. I'm entitled to be awarded. I'm entitled to be acknowledged. You have to acknowledge me. They just have this overwhelming sense of entitlement. C, they can only be around people that are very important or very special. You know, they look at most people as being beneath them. And when they find people that are above them, they have to connect with them because in their minds, this is where I'm supposed to be. But when they get with these type of people, they tear them down anyway because they want what they have. So they want to be special. They want to be impotent. Like my mom says, impotent. They want to be impotent. And so they only can be around people that they feel are just as special as they are. But eventually they start tearing them down too. A, arrogant. You know that they have this false sense of dignity, this false sense of pride. You know, they're arrogant beyond self-dignity. They're so arrogant that you look at them like, and you know, they tell you, no, that's self-confidence. So they really confuse what self-confidence is, and they're really arrogant, above and beyond arrogance. L is the lack of empathy. Now keep in mind, I've taught this before and I'll do a clip on this as well. They have no emotional empathy, but they do have cognitive empathy. Emotional empathy is to be able to put your feet in somebody else's shoes and feel their pain or their hurt. You know, if you have a parent that may have died, and maybe I did not, I still have this sense of emotional empathy because I can't imagine what you're feeling like, but I can only imagine because now I'm trying to put my feet, the reality is hit that I'm putting my feet in your shoes, and I'm trying to imagine, oh my gosh, you know, what would I feel like if my parent would die? You know, what would I do if I had a, you know, God forbid this happens to any of you guys, but even for a child, you know, oh my God, you start staring at your kids and everything. That's emotional empathy where, oh my God, you know, this must be hard. But you may even cry with them because it is that intense. They don't have that. They have cognitive empathy. They understand how emotions work. And so what they do is they mirror people to see how they're supposed to conduct themselves in order to display this false sense of empathy. Or what they do is they use that cognitive empathy. They understand how the emotions work, so they learn how to manipulate your emotions. If I push this button, it causes you to do this. So it's a matter of conditioning that, you know, you're being conditioned and they're conditioning because they figure out if I push this button, it causes you to do this. If I say this, this is how you react. You know, they go off of reactions. So they do have the cognitive empathy because they understand and they watch and they observe how, empathy and emotions operate, and so they need you to react. So they do understand when I do certain things that this is how the reaction is, or this is what I'm going to get as a result of doing this, saying this, acting like this. That's why it's so easy to love bomb people, because they understand the reaction they get when they say, all they do is listen to you, and when they listen to you, they find out where your hurts and your pain is, and then they say certain things that cause you to be euphoric. So they watch that. So they just use it as they go. They learn from each part where they collect this information in their little evil bag of tricks, and they understand cognitive empathy. So they lack emotional empathy, but they do have cognitive empathy. Now let's move on to me. M. They must be admired. If you don't admire them, you will quickly be gaslighted. There'll be question, you know, after a while, you get tired of giving somebody a compliment. Every time they come around, they need a compliment. Every time they come around, you got to say, if you don't say something, the very first thing they tell you is, what's wrong with you? No, what's right with me? Man, you're draining me. I mean, every day I got to tell you how pretty or how handsome you are. Oh my God. Every day I got to tell you how smart you are. Oh my God. You know, you can listen. This is the crazy part. And I've seen this happen before. You can look at a character on a movie screen, whether a cartoon or a fictional character on a movie, and you can admire them. You know, this is Iron Man. You may admire Iron Man, who knows, Wonder Woman, or, you know, somebody on the TV, on the television, on the movie screen. There we go, on the movie screen. And you admire them. Do you know that they will get jealous over a character in a movie? Or if you admire somebody in Hollywood, or you admire a business person, or you admire someone, you know, that has made it, you know, or let's just say Tina Turner. You may admire Tina Turner because she has come out of some of the places where you have been in. Do you know that they will get jealous? And they will make you feel like crap because of the fact that you don't admire them the way that you admire that person. And you may have already seen the mask slip. You already see that there's not a lot of reality. There's no substance to them. They're very shallow and very surface. And so you admire other people. You may admire another man or another woman. You know, you admire them, and they look at your face. They watch your facial expressions. They watch your eyes and everything. And then they tell you, you don't look at me that way. You know, you don't admire me that way. And I thought I was your number one. I thought we were a team. You know, something is wrong with you. Maybe you need to go to therapy because something's wrong with you because of the fact that you don't admire them, or they don't feel it. Because remember, they're a walking hole. I don't care how much you try to put in there. It's always this sinkhole. It'll never get filled up. So it doesn't matter. You can admire a lot of people. That doesn't mean that you take away from the love or admiration you have for someone that you love. But for them, it is a constant competition. And so if you look like you admire something, a tree, an inanimate object, a dog, they will become jealous because they need all the attention. They're like the pharaohs, the living gods. Everything rotates around them like the sun because of the fact that they need to be admired. The last one is E. They are envious of everyone. Because of the fact that they're envious of everyone, they think that everyone is envious of them as well. They think that people are jealous over them at what they have. And most of them don't have what they really say they have. Now, some of them do, but a lot of them don't really have. It's a facade. And so they're envious of everyone because they feel like everyone is envious of them. And they'll tell you, they're just jealous over me. You're thinking, why?